Oh, we're on.
We're on.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to a Table Ready live stream. As you can see, this is me, and that's Adam over there. And between us at the moment, we've got Terrance, and we'll tell you all about Terrance in a minute. We've been a bit erratic on the old Table Ready live stream, so thank you for everybody for joining us. I can see in the comments that Alad's there, 414 Armed is there, Trekan's there. Trekan, did you win something from painting Panzers the other week? So our other erstwhile colleague, Kristian from Painting Panzers, had a giveaway for some painting stuff for NATO forces. And I believe Trekan won one. So yeah, Trekan, if you can tell us if that was actually you, that would be cool.
I think it was.
I think it was too. So what we should probably do is Adam and I are going to bullshit very quickly about what we've been up to, and then we might talk about Terrance a little bit. So I've been the content partner for the NATO forces stuff for Battlefront, so I've been doing lots of weird reviews. Battlefront in the UK have been finding out just how long it takes to ship stuff to Australia, which was a bit of a wake-up for them. And yeah, generally that's what I've been up to. Adam, what have you been doing?
What have I been doing? I've been slowly painting some more mid-war SS Viking. Apart from that, organising a trip. My wife's from Trinidad and Tobago, and she hasn't been home for about 8 or 9 years. So in December and January, we were going there for about 4 weeks via Tokyo. So
not home with you, but home to Trinidad and Tobago, right?
Yeah, home to Trinidad and Tobago, where she was born. So yeah, that'll be fun. But and then work's been crazy, and so yeah, not as much hobby as stuff as I'd like to, but yeah.
Well, you also might mention that you launched a new range of decals for Dice of War. I thought you'd probably mention that a little bit.
I'd forgotten about that. So yes, I have launched a new range of decals for Dice of War. So at the moment, I've got some generic late war British ones, and Allied stars and support decals and stuff like that. Yeah, excuse
sorry,
Harry
you
while
got me.
he dies.
Yeah.
And some mid-war German ones, but I am working on some other ones. It's just unfortunately taking a bit of time. I'm going to be doing some. I want to look at mid-war British, so where they had the different numbering system for mid-war in the desert rather than late war, and also just divisional symbols like the Australian 7th, 9th.
Yep. For the
sort of
divisional cavalry,
and also some maybe some Hungarian ones. We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
It's just taking time to do it. So
and we plan to do some markings videos as well about those to talk about.
Yeah.
If you were going to use these decal sets, how would you correctly mark this stuff up?
Yeah.
All right.
Which I think, a lot of people seem to ask all the time. So
yeah,
it'd be useful.
And Kristian's thing, he's been releasing videos on his channel, but we don't have him here at the moment because he reproduced, and apparently that's taking up a reasonable amount of his time at the moment. But I think his child must be just about ready for school now, so we might get him back fairly soon.
That's how it works, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. But we should probably introduce Terrance. Terrance, who are you, and why do we care that you're here?
Thanks, guys. So yeah, hi, I'm Terrance. I'm from the Battle Bunker over in the lovely eastern side of Australia, so the area where it's more populated, but yeah, freight is always just as bad as usual. But yeah, so I'm one of the retailers for the country. Obviously, I deal with Aetherworks, our lovely wholesaler and distributor here in the country. It's been a bit of a slog, is probably an understatement with the starting of it all. But now, obviously, they have a new guy in charge of all the Battlefront stuff, and it's been a lot smoother the last few months getting stuff obviously sorted out for what we need.
Well, that sounds great because basically getting stuff ordered has always been a bit hit and miss here. So
Yeah, it has been. Like it's obviously there's been stock issues. We obviously had a few delays with things. Obviously, stock coming to Australia. There were obviously the time for it to arrive, obviously from the factory to getting it here, is always a problem. We obviously had the stock issues with Red Dawn for the release.
yeah,
That was because we actually got stuck inside the shipping areas in Sydney, and the guys decided to say, "Well, we're going on Christmas, and you guys can wait till January."
yeah.
So, yeah, there's a lot of stock issues there, but it seems to be all smoothed out now, which is awesome. Just what we
Because I
want.
think people don't realise that Battlefront is a New Zealand company. The manufacturing is done in Malaysia. Like this is in my time zone. I could like fly up there and get some.
Yeah, yeah,
But it then has to go to the UK where we can order it, and it then has to come back to here, and then it passes me on the way and ends up in Sydney somewhere or wherever, and then I can order it from there, and it can come crawling its way back by dead kangaroo to
yeah. So
to my
they
side
have
of the
changed
country.
it. So freight wise, just obviously, so people are aware. So the freight obviously comes. The models are made over in Malaysia. The books are obviously done over in Europe. They get air freighted to us via Battlefront in the UK. The stock gets shipped directly from Malaysia now to Sydney. There's no
Oh,
going
nice.
anywhere else. It's coming straight to us here.
Was that
So
via container ship?
that is via container. Yeah. So they normally are saying about 4 to 8 weeks is roughly the run
Yep.
for us to get it. With judging by the last few orders I've had dealing with the lads down at Aetherworks, it is pretty much on time with everything. Like I had all the NATO gear, minus a couple of items, about 3 weeks before the official release of the first NATO book, which is
Great.
awesome.
Good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely pumping. So it's what we need with it, and obviously now just obviously talking about freight to make it easier for everybody. We've got one lot of deliveries in transit at the moment that'll be here hopefully by the end of the month, and then there's another one that's getting sorted out at present to be shipped to be arriving just before Christmas. So obviously if people want stuff, get your order in now, because otherwise you'll be waiting until the end of January if you're lucky to get the next one.
So am I on my second or third order of stuff with you at the moment? Because from a
Probably the third.
from a purely personal standpoint, you liaising with Aetherworks seems to have unclogged stuff, and I can order it direct from you, and you ship it nice and quick. So I mean, this is not me being a table-ready host. This is me being a customer of yours saying, "Oh my God, this is great. I've been really enjoying this." So. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's been
put my money where my mouth is.
yeah, like obviously like being like as people of the background, I'm a computer store where we are. We obviously do the hobby part as part of the company. So obviously we deal with like Games Workshop and a few others, but obviously the Battlefront side of it, it's been good. Like I have some stock in the shop, but obviously as it is with most small businesses, I don't have every single thing physically here. So it's enough. Like I've got some items, like obviously with the new NATO release, I've ordered extra things like of the M113s. I've obviously got a lot of the French stuff because the French stuff's been very popular, especially the VBLs. So if anyone missed out on VBLs, there is a bucket load coming of them with the next delivery that's coming to Aetherworks. Yes, those lovely little things.
Yeah, I got 4 blisters off you myself, and I will sort of repeat what Harry said. Like, excellent to do with fast shipping. Yeah, excellent. Well done.
Yeah, try to get stuff out. Like obviously, if I don't have it here, obviously I've been trying to communicate with people as best as I can. Generally, I'm trying to do like obviously notifications up on social media to let everyone know that hey, if you haven't got an order, if the order hasn't rocked up yet, it's more than likely because the stock is not here in the country. Stock by the looks of it, every 4 to 8 weeks we're going to have stuff. So the time frame wise is going to be like only a couple of months instead of like 6 to 12 months like it's been previously with stock, but that includes all the direct order stuff. So we've I've been working with Aetherworks to help them out, and they've now actually gone on board to try and get all the direct order. Hence why I've got the helicopters listed now. We've got all the Anzac upgrade pack, which obviously they moved away from the M113 box that they had for them. That's all special items that we can now finally get. And moving with that, then obviously my next run is to put all of the Vietnam range up onto the web store, so that we can actually have all that listed for everybody.
Yeah, that's great. So this is still very new, though. I mean, when
Oh
did the
yeah.
web store actually go up? Because you've been doing stuff by people sending you
Oh,
direct message and,
it's
sending
been
you
months.
money
Like
and
I've been dealing with Aetherworks for quite a few years now. So I've been dealing just directly with the local hobby scene, obviously in Southeast Queensland, for the most part. And then obviously once I started advertising a little bit more, initially as the computer store, and then now it's obviously evolved into the proper hobby store, which is what I envisioned it to be. Because that means it's easier for you to order. It's easier for me to then process the order than it is going in the back end with our IT side. It's purely like they're all part of the one company, but they're two separate sections of it now.
yeah,
Yeah,
no, that's fantastic.
yeah. The web store's I think been up now just shy of 2 months.
Yeah,
It'll be coming up for its 2 month anniversary pretty soon, and it's been very very positive response from everybody in the country, which has been great. Like I want to help everyone else. I'm a gamer like everyone else, so it's gaming first and then sales later. But obviously, I'll try my best to get everyone the stuff they want.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think possibly that helps because I think possibly some of the stuff we were having with Aetherworks were occasionally some of their staff were perhaps less knowledgeable about that stuff. They weren't particularly historical gamers themselves. Aetherworks covers a lot of stuff.
Oh yeah, they're a very
Yeah.
big store.
So in that case, you can push that gamer agenda a bit.
I can do. Like I did talk to them. The guy that's actually currently running the Battlefront side for them used to work for Aetherworks a while ago, so he's aware of the older Battlefront products, which is it's been handy. I've been actually able to sort of push it forward with him and saying these are the products that are coming. These are the items that you need to add with it, because obviously with the NATO release, we've got previous items like the
Yeah.
Abrams and the Lav 25
Yep.
boxes. And I explained to him saying that these are part of the products of the range, even though they're not a new item.
Yeah.
We need to have excess of them for the people that obviously want to
Because
start those
I
factions.
need 2 more boxes of labs and I can't find them
Yep.
anywhere.
They're coming. I've got the next order that's coming is I believe all of the large army boxes, so the starter boxes for all the factions are coming back through. And then I
Mm-hmm.
did request a lot of items, Lav 25s, Abrams, Leopard 1s, because everyone wants Leopard 1s at the moment because of all the new releases.
Yep.
There's all the other standardized items across the board that have been out of stock. It looks like Paul from theirs now decided to say we've got to have all of the plastic range as much as we can do restocked in the country, and it's going to be here, which is good. And then obviously we can keep tabs on that with obviously what I'm selling. It gives him an idea of obviously what the stock is going with the country.
Yeah. Oh, that all sounds remarkably positive. So
It is. It's been
yeah.
very positive. Like I'm hoping to meet up and catch up with Paul down at Aetherworks down at CanCon, because I'm going down there to obviously compete. But I've got a couple extra days spare while I'm down there to have that conversation with him, just to touch base and let him know it's working really well as we wanted it to be.
So there was just a little conversation there going on with Adam and Dwayne. Um, so Dwayne was asking, do you have Swedish Dyson tokens? Because do I remember correctly, Adam, there weren't a lot of Dyson tokens that came out with Nordic forces?
Yeah, Battlefront is, for some reason, maybe they thought someone else would pick up the slack.
Well, there you go.
Has not decided to do battle tokens and specific nation dice for Nordic forces. So I'm doing dice. Tokens, it's a bit harder. There used to be a guy in Spain that I used to organise token sets with.
Mm-hmm.
He's not doing it anymore.
I remember because I ended up with one of those.
Ignatia, yeah. There's I might be able to sort something in regards to tokens. I'm talking to someone about that, but nothing firm on that yet.
So you heard it first here, everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so that would be good. So you've got dice coming.
Yep,
Or
so
are
I've
they
got
available
specific
now?
Nordic Forces dice. I'll have 2 different types of fin dice. There'll be the Swedish dice, which will have a olive green dice with the Swedish flag on it.
Mm-hmm.
The fins will have a fin roundel, and then another one with like their lion symbol for the army.
Mm-hmm.
Norway will have the Nord division
Mm-hmm.
logo. I think
Yep,
that's it.
definitely need some of those for my Norwegians.
Yeah, so I thought about doing the flag, and I thought, that's kind of boring. And so I found there's an old division they've still got the division. It's called Norge, the same sort of one now. It's slightly different, but I found the old logo, so I chucked that on dice. It looks pretty cool. So yeah, hopefully I'll have them. I'm told they'll ship next week, so maybe I'll get them by the end of the month. Yeah.
Just in time for Christmas orders, boys and girls.
Well,
Yep,
that's it. That's the other thing, because I'm probably leaving on the 10th of. I'm leaving Australia on the 10th of December, and not
It's
getting
a
back
narrow
till
window.
the 20th of January.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there won't be long to order them. So if you do, let me know. Also, I'll be doing a sale, my usual Christmas sale, leading up into December. Sorry. So yeah.
Dwayne says that'll be a good stocking filler.
Yep.
So, yep.
Good. Yep.
So speaking of Christmas, what does anybody think that Pete's Christmas message is going to have?
I would love to know.
I'm not allowed to say.
You're not allowed to say. Yeah, Modelling for Advantage said the same. Apparently they got Pete to spill the beans on a bunch of stuff last time they were up there, and they've been sworn to secrecy.
I don't know specifically. I've got a fairly good idea of what you might see, but I mean, what were they talking about previously?
Let's talk about this for a minute. You probably can't see, but there's one of those over my shoulder. Yeah, they've gone for the nice orange colour in the World of Tanks. I'm assuming the World of Tanks money that they're getting from the miniatures game is pushing, because World of Tanks goes quite a bit for the paper panzer and that kind of stuff. So this is their 2023 starter set. Yeah, I mean, 2 Mouse existed, IS-3 existed. What's that? Centurion Mark 1. T-29, that's a little bit more problematic. I mean, they made 8, if I remember correctly.
More than 2.
It is more than 2. Well, technically with the mouse, it was 1.5, because there was 2 holes, but only 1 turret.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if you saw a tortoise later.
Oh, you mean like that?
Yeah, like that.
That's a lovely list.
It is a lovely list. So let's have a look at what we've got on there, because I'm trying to pull what sort of hints I can off this. So, for example, there is actually some real stuff on here, like the M48 Patton, Conqueror, Charioteer, M103, the Marine Corps used those. Tortoise and T95. So there's a lot of stuff on there. And then E100. I had to look up T62A because as far as I knew, T62A was the standard T62 with the AA machine gun removed or something. But no, apparently there was an experimental T62A with a different gun and stuff.
I'll definitely take all those American ones for my Yanks for flames. Yeah, I mean, that's gonna be nice.
Conqueror.
You'd have to think that. Well, what Checkpoint Charlie hasn't got all of these, obviously, and a lot of them aren't relevant. A lot of them are like super duper late war or paper panzers,
Yeah. I'm pushing that there's 2 things here. There's late war Leviathans. So
that's
pushing out from 45 to 46. I'm guessing this is where they're going to start using wildcards for late war. So you're going to be able to rock up with something weird from 1946 or 47 in your 1945 list.
You reckon? I don't
I
know.
hope not. I really want to build these. I don't want to go to a tournament with them.
I would think you would have to have. It wouldn't work. It'd break the game. It'd be like bringing an E100 to.
Mm-hmm.
Like it wouldn't. Yeah, it wouldn't work. I mean,
but how many points would the bloody thing have to be?
I don't know, 75, and you can have some armored cars, and you win.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know.
Maybe it might actually be its own book, because that's like you could put all these together into a book itself by the looks of it. Because obviously they've got obviously late war Leviathans like we had with the other obviously editions. I can't see why they can't do this as its own.
I don't think they ever had late war Leviathans. They had mid-war monsters, and people always kind of talked about late war Leviathans, but they never actually made it. I think someone did an unofficial one.
Yeah,
I've got the PDF somewhere.
Maybe it was an unofficial one.
Must be a fan-made one, possibly.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, who knows?
Who knows? I'm going to be happy to have some really cool looking models on my shelf, though. They're awesome to have in the shop. I'll just have them as display items because they're awesome.
Well,
definitely,
it's funny.
Definitely that mouse.
Hey, Frank. Morning.
Oh, Frank.
So I don't know if you guys know. Well, I'm sure you do. The Horus Heresy sort of models.
Yep.
From Games Workshop. So they've got the Primarchs that you can build, which are gorgeous models, and I probably hardly ever actually field them because they're probably broken. But I think they'd be just great as display models. So I'm sure for this, if you wanted to not do like a larger scale model, these would be cool as maybe even a diorama or something. But
yeah, dioramas would be awesome.
Yeah,
it'd be a really cool category to actually have at some of the tournaments is to actually have like a what obviously Games Workshop have as their armies on parade, where it's like a little display board where they do up. It'd be really cool to see this sort of stuff on a table like that for events, especially somewhere like CanCon. They could do it up and have it as a display piece to show people what our models are that we use.
Well, I think they used to have a tanks. A couple of years ago, they had like a tanks. You know how you can rock up at CanCon and there's just games for people to play, like participation games. I'm sure if you were kind of smart, maybe you'd do one of these at CanCon. There's lots of kids around there that would, like tanks and buy it and historical. So anyway, huge year for Team Yankee. Anything left to do? I know. A lot of people are asking about Soviet naval infantry, kind of, that sort of list.
We're always asking for Oil Wars Part 2. It'd be lovely for them to do an update for Oil Wars to match it in now, because it's technically the only book that's version 1.
Yeah, hasn't been updated yet.
What could you update though? I mean, Iraq got bombed to the Stone Age and then come back again.
So you've got all the factions that aren't there. So you've got Egypt, you've got Jordan can be added in there. There are updated parts, so you can actually start giving them like better T-72s. There's also the option for the T-55 Enigma. I'd love to see that on the table.
But I just wonder, I think maybe Saudi Arabia is probably the best one there, apart, which we don't have a faction for, apart from Israel. So I'm just wondering what you could give the
and they're unlikely
to actually compete.
They're unlikely to make another T-55 plastic sprue, are they? I mean, the best you might get is they might make an upgrade sprue.
Yeah, the upgrade sprue. I'd be more than happy with that.
What's Trekken saying? A real German late war Leviathan would be a bicycle with a frame for 10 Panzerfausts.
Hey, why not?
Wasn't that actually in Berlin? I'm sure I saw a card for that.
Oh no! They had the they had the doodle bug things.
I've still got that to review. It's in my pile.
Yeah,
well, what about the Ontos? What about the Ontos that they made? That thing, it's just basically strapped with recoilless rifles. Yeah, I don't know. I think it'd be a good idea. I just wonder if they'd actually move ahead or if they'd just expand
Yeah.
what it
Well,
was.
as the guys in the chat are talking about, like Macarva 3 is one of those items that would be awesome to see on the table. It sort of give them a good upgrade. Same as there's the infantry transport vehicle that was based off a T-55 for the
Yeah,
for the
I
Israelis.
guess what I'm saying is yes, you can upgrade the Israelis. They've got lots of stuff to upgrade, but I don't know if you could upgrade everything else unless you're just going to go like
a plastic Margach 7 would go down really well.
Yes, a plastic McGuck 7 would be lovely.
But I mean, look, if they've given all the other NATO countries Leopard 2s and M1 Abrahams, I'm sure they can give.
They can give T-72Bs. I can't see why they can't not give
T-72s.
that to them.
Yeah.
Charles Stubbs says, what about a Chinese or North Korean list?
Yeah. Well, they'd have to do a whole new, almost a whole new range for that, and which would be cool, because I really do think at one point they will do Asia Team Yankee, so like Singapore, Malaysia, China, Vietnam. Well, I will think they do that.
South Korea, Japan, they've got a lot of good stuff option-wise.
I would buy a Japan army straight off the bat.
Yep, there's a few people mentioning that. Yeah. So I spoke to Benjamin Lin of Blitz Minis when I was up in Singapore the other week, and he's still saying that China is a huge market that's a bit untapped for wargaming. So I'm guessing like a reasonable set of Chinese minis, if you picked the right era for it, would probably do quite well. But as you said, Adam, it would have to be like a whole bunch of either lots of new plastic or a whole bunch of stuff that's going to be done in resin and metal, and
because
I can just see them doing more different stuff than that.
Well, and I think for them, if to be successful, like it'd be a big investment for Battlefront, and I'm sure people would buy it, but it's just lots and lots of plastic that they'd have to pump out. And what you've got your Type 59 tanks, and then I don't know, like there's a whole heap of Chinese vehicles that look really suspiciously a lot like copies of Western vehicles or Russian vehicles that they've purchased.
But again, I mean, the T-55 kit has the side skirts to make a Type 59. Like you can build that plastic kit as a Type 59 now.
Yep.
Yeah. But anyway, so that's... Pete's message is coming. We have no special insights, or at least none of us have special insights we can talk about.
Nope.
So we've done a lot of Team Yankee in the last few months from Battlefront. Does that mean it's more likely to be Flames of War? Does that mean we're going to be seeing... I don't know.
Well, we did have Flames earlier.
We did, but they've done 2 back-to-back Team Yankee releases, haven't they?
They have, but they also did do the Berlin releases were back to back as well.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah, so I'm hoping we get a bit of both. That would be what we'd want, because Team Yankee is growing, especially with the comments around. It is growing as a game. It's actually outpacing Flames of War around the country here, especially with attendance. But even obviously people on social media discussing it, just saying that, there's a lot of the Scandinavian countries have really come on board now since obviously the Nordic Forces book got pushed in.
Yeah. I don't know, what was the plastic kit leaks that we had? I mean, Pete was talking about a mouse. And we're also talking about
all those things I just showed
Leclerc, I think, were the 2 that were shown.
And then there was the Panzer
I
kit in the Panzer 1 kit, in the Berlin book. Well, Panzer 2, sorry.
Yeah, Panzer 2.
Yeah.
So what are our options if we're looking Flames of War, early war, or the Pacific? Are the 2 areas that still need some coverage. So if we were betting people, we would have to say if they're going to do any Flames of War, it would probably be in those 2 theatres. And Trekan was just mentioning Checkpoint Charlie coming along. So
Oh, that's interesting.
If we're going for
How
Team
close,
Yankee, yeah, so a lot of that stuff coming from the World of Tanks range, like the M48 in plastic and that kind of stuff, would really be able to push the. I mean, M48s versus IS3s or whatever would be fun. I'd play that. I'd roll
Well,
my
they're able to be
Conqueror
used
in
in
for my
both
British.
Vietnam and Fate of a Nation as well, aren't they? The IS-3s
Yeah,
and the
absolutely.
M48s.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a good stepping stone for them to actually bring those back in. Because just to sidetrack from that, I was told that Great War is on the list of the production run at the moment as well with stuff.
Oh,
So we
okay.
will start seeing more of that back from the factory, as their promise was from last Christmas.
Yeah, people have been asking for Great War reruns, basically. So
Yeah.
Yeah, not an area I'd probably want to game in, but hey,
some
people
people
like
do.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there. They've got the
So
stock.
Ben's saying plastic Panzer 38T.
I would love a 38T in plastic.
I've got all these resin ones. What do then I'd have to buy more plastic ones. No.
Well, I already have some plastic ones, but not from Battlefront.
Yeah.
But we're
I
not
don't
allowed
like
to
that
say anything about that.
I
Battlefront
just
will
don't
get all
think they're as
sad.
good.
Okay.
Yeah. They're good for what they are, but I just find when you compare another company's plastic model to a Battlefront plastic model, typically it's better.
Look, that is fair, and I mean, my reviews say that a lot now, that I've been doing this for a long time, and I remember Battlefront's first plastic kits, which were kind of sad.
You ever tried putting together those Shermans?
Yeah, I've still got mine stucked away somewhere, but they usually explode after a while because you have to force glue the twisted bits together. Over time they just let go.
Remember there was a post online or a blog or something, and it showed you all the specific bits that you had to file back to get it to dry fit properly, and I think I remember doing that. But
and so we've gone from that to, I mean, I was putting together the Leclerc kit, and you put the top and the hull, bottom of the hull together, and then you put the side skirts on, and there's just plenty of tabs to locate stuff, and it covers up all the joins between the top and the bottom, and you just go, these guys really know what they're doing with this shit in 15 mil now.
Yeah.
Yeah, their tooling is on point now with it. There's so much detail in the vehicles compared to what there was with the earlier kits.
Yeah. And I mean, Plastic Soldier Company are much more complex kits. There is also the Plastic Soldier Company thing of there's always at least one major flaw with the kit somewhere that hasn't been tested or what have you. So, yeah. And their focus has shifted somewhere else. But, I mean, they have a few kits around.
Well, they just seem to, like, I wanted to buy some trucks or something for a specific model, a hobby thing. I think it was the 25-ton CWT trucks,
Yeah.
And I just can't find any. Like, I think, and I wanted some. What I wanted for the SS army that I'm doing, I want to do an early war or an early version, of the Panzer IV H without the Zimmerit. Just because I'm weird. Apart from just trying to file off all the Zimmerit off the BF models, which is I don't think a good use of my time.
Get a Dremel, you'll be fine.
Yeah, Dremels will do it.
Yeah, I just thought, well, the only other one I could find was a PSC one, and I ended up having to buy them from the UK. There's someone who had the last box or whatever, So, I mean, yeah, they don't do. It's not bad. It's just, for me, the two things: it doesn't have a magnet slot, which I find annoying, and the box doesn't come with decals. So, and the guns are a bit thin for me.
Yeah,
and I know
do
people
tend
say
to do
that
realistically scaled. But...
Yeah, and which is, I agree, it is more realistic, but they tend to break off. Or
this is wargaming, like, sticking things in and out of bags.
Yeah, things
and
break
blowing
very
stuff
quickly.
Up.
Yeah, but oh well. Something I was gonna.
After Brexit, PSC seemed to focus on ancient or 20mm because the scale's more popular in Britain. Yeah, they did ancients, and they've been doing Siocast, and they did their modern rule set and did it in 10mm. It's like, guys, what are you doing?
Yeah, I don't know. There's too many weird scales sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, Battlefront stuff is great. So it's
Well, when they do
we'll bug them, and they can bring out some 38Ts. That'll be fine.
They should. I mean, I think they've basically said that anything that is a black box in your force
will be plastic.
Will be plastic at some point. So I mean, you'd think they
Yay,
would do
Matilda
that.
ones.
Yeah,
Matildas.
Matilda 2s would be even better.
Matilda 2s,
particularly if they stick in some Australian options for it to make the Matilda Frog for the Aussies.
Yeah.
What was it? Ben's saying, I've stuck my Heinz chain gun back on like 3 to 4 times now. You know, when you play me, Ben, if it doesn't have the chain gun stuck onto it, you can't shoot me with it. Like if it's not on the model, you can't do it.
But Tim Adcock, he's the guy that designs all Battlefront's plastic kits. He's done an excellent job, and I don't think he gets enough credit for all the excellent work that he does. So yeah.
Sorry, is he the plastic kit designer?
Yeah.
No, he's doing a fantastic job. Just in case you're out there, Tim.
Yeah. I gave him a shout out in my recent Leclerc article as well. Just saying, look, this guy is basically responsible for all the beautiful plastic kits. So
yeah. So I was doing some back and forth with Ryan from Battlefront, and I said the same about the Leclerc kit. Like once I put it together, it's wow, this is really cool. It's just a fun kit to build because everything just like slots in right and does stuff. No, so that's great.
I'm definitely looking forward to my box of those when I get back.
Yeah.
So you haven't built one yet?
I haven't built them. I've been giving everyone their stock before I took it. So
that's doing everybody a real solid.
That's
making sure
dedicated.
everybody gets their stuff. Yep. No, we're along with that.
Yeah, I do have a one of the starter boxes like you've just done your recent review of. I've got that in the office waiting for me. So really, like I need more Leclercs than I do AMX 30s, but I'm going to turn them into the off because it just means I've got them. Plus, I can probably use them for my Iraqis.
I did find, because I actually built some of those last night, and the turret for that is so big that it actually twists. So you actually have to hold the top of the turret onto the base to make sure that it sticks square, so then you can put the front and the back on it fine, but you have to actually sit there holding it for a while until the glue goes off.
Yep.
Oh, is that the artillery one?
Yeah, the big turret for the AUF one.
I haven't built any of those yet. I've only built a couple of the normal AMX 30s.
Yeah, I would have loved an AMX B2 with the ERA, but the Leclerc's a really good tank for them to have. The French definitely needed that sort of heavy armor because it's a good option. Obviously, if you're playing for lists, it gives you the extra points that you have for reserves. So you're running a minimum reserve list amount to then play in the games.
What I wouldn't do as a French player is take a French armored formation, though. When I was reviewing it, I was having a look and I'm going, no, I would buy Vabs and I would take the Leclerc as a 3-tank thing. It's in the organic. Yeah, it's in the organic thing. So it's not even a support unit. It's part of the unit itself. That way you get the heavy tanks, but you also get some quite decent infantry. You get the VAB T25 support thing in as well. I'd probably take that, but I don't know from French. So if there are any French players out there, let us know what you think about my crazy and wild idea. But yeah, I don't know about, because when I looked at the Leclerc list, it's like, okay, so it's 19 points for a HQ, and then I can take like 2 or 3 for my first compulsory, and then luckily the second compulsory can be AMX 30s as well, because you'd never get a HQ and 2 Leclerc platoons.
Like, I think
Unless
it's
you were playing
about
big
300
points.
points. I think it's about 300 points for the whole formation if you run all the Leclercs.
Yeah.
Like, it'd be good to have a game where it was just tanks, so you could just go, here's a whole army of T80s. Here's your formation, complete formation of Leclercs, go for gold.
Yeah,
And just have
absolutely.
it as a tank conflict.
Somebody needs to do that as a battle report. That's a battle report we'd all watch.
I
so
think
forewarned, yeah.
I was just going to say, I think with the Leclerc, it's very much like the Tiger or the King Tiger list for the Germans in the World War II. It's like you can have it if you want it, but most people in most situations aren't going to run it. So, like, I think if you were doing big tanks versus big tanks, that's when you'd use it. But as you say, like, really the only practical way to put it in a 100-point list and have a chance of against most forces is to take them in an infantry formation and
And as an organic choice, not a support choice.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, you could do it as a support choice, but I mean, you'd be better off.
But the morale thing, like have your very heavy, hard to kill tanks in your organic formation, because if they blow up your VBLs and the VBLs run, if your Leclerc are support, then that's not going to help you very much. And forewarned is talking about VAB plus VBLs. So maybe he's got more experience than me at crazy French lists. But it was an interesting high-low mix.
Yeah, so Forewarned, I believe, got a video up about the French. He did that just recently, so I'll obviously have to go back and review that again, because I've got my French force, but I'm more of a theme to it than it is going to be super competitive. So I'm doing the AMX 10 RCs with the VBLs, and they're all done up for... Kits. And it's a good mixture, and it's going to be really nice to get done for Operation de Gere, because that's what I want to paint them up as.
Yeah, that's what I did my list on, was the AMX 10 RC with some Leclercs. I mean, it's not going to be the most competitive list, but I think it'd be pretty fun to play. I really like the introduction of heavy mortars in a lot of the lists.
Definitely.
I thought that was cool. I mean, I'm sure we'll probably see something with the Soviets, and the Warpack forces getting their heavy mortars. I know people have been asking that for a while. I don't know whether or not we'll get like gun teams, artillery, and anti-tank guns. Maybe, but I mean, do you really need it? Like,
the VDV have got their mortar teams. They've got them in the weapons packs, so it's always a good start.
Yeah.
Anyway, what we should probably do is we actually have a second half to this, and we're already 43 minutes in. So, Adam, you went to the Australian Armour and Artillery Museum.
I did. It was a work trip.
I haven't been there for about 5 years. They've had a lot more stuff in since then.
Yeah, they do.
So we've got a few picks for you here. So
it's absolutely huge. Anyone that wants to go see a first class tank and artillery and arm museum and shoot a few World War II rifles underneath while you're there, should go make a trip. At least once. So I think there's something like more than 200 different tanks and artillery there. I think they told me something like 234 or something. I can't remember. I actually even got to look around at the where they're working around the back, and they showed me a few things
workshop.
In the workshop.
That's awesome.
Showed me a few things that they've been working on. I can't remember which ones I can talk about, so I'm not going to talk about any of them.
Well, I've been watching their workshop Wednesdays, so they're working on the Stug 3 at the moment.
Yeah, there's a Stug 3. They were doing, I think they've done the video on the other grant. So they did a grant.
Yeah.
That they what did they call it? They basically restored it, but so it looked kind of dirty and rusty still.
Yeah.
So they've got 4 or 5 grants, I think.
Was there an EBL 90 or something? There was one of the French armored cars.
There's the armored car that they're doing, and so they've actually got 2 of those. One of them's going to be a wrecked sort of one, and the other one's going to be a static. I sort of said, well, it'd be really cool if you would make one running, and they just said it's just too hard to get the parts.
Yeah.
For it. So and it's a lot of work. Like looking at it, like the trouble with these light armored cars, like I think they're finding out in more modern battles now with the AMX 10 RCs, is that they don't have a lot of armor, and when they get hit by things that blow armored vehicles up, then they just get absolutely trashed. So these ones I think were range.
Yeah.
So
when you're trying
targets.
to fix things that have been range targets, that's hard work.
Yeah. So it's just so much work, and it's just I don't think they've got time or the money or the equipment to do it. So they're going to all be static. But they look brilliant. They look great.
So we should possibly mention for anybody who doesn't know that the Australian Armour and Artillery Museum is in Cairns in Queensland, which is the northeastern side of Australia, like a completely opposite side to where I live, down on the southwest coast.
Right up the top.
Yep, and it's just off the Great Barrier Reef. So if you want to go and bring your family, and they can go swimming and snorkeling and all that sort of stuff, and then
But it was also like 38 degrees and 500% humidity when I was there.
Oh, okay. Go in October. It's nice. September, October.
I went in January for my birthday, and
was-
it was
that
that was entirely the wrong time.
That was
That's a
We won't
wrong
do that
time to go
again.
to North Queensland, mate.
Yeah, bad.
Yeah.
So what are we looking at here, Adam?
This is a local pattern carrier that was made in Australia that they've strapped a 2-pounder on. I think Australia's the only ones that did this. I don't actually think very many of them actually saw service. I think it was a really cool idea. But yeah, this is a universal carrier or Bren gun carrier with a 2-pounder that they've slapped on the back in a turret that rotates.
Because Australia and New Zealand did the same thing. Like, we got the basic carrier pattern, but we built them based on what our industries could do at the time.
Yep.
So they're not identical to British Bren gun carriers.
They're very similar, and I think if you didn't know, like if you weren't an expert, you probably just think it looks the same. But they're very, very similar. But yeah, you're right. They are slightly different to the British ones.
Yeah. And New Zealand, I mean, I've got some 3D STLs for those to print some of those up. And they are quite different again. So it's basically what your industry was able to produce. So I mean, Australian industry in the late 1930s, early 1940s was actually quite limited.
Yeah, no, they do have that. They do have two. They have 2 or 3 of those.
They have 2 Dick tanks, one of which has a 17-pounder gun.
The good old Sentinel. New South Wales Railways built those.
Yep. Did you know that they had a Sentinel? Sorry, did you know they had a Sentinel with 2 25-pounders in the turret?
Yeah. To test whether it would stand up to having a 17-pounder gun in the turret. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's like, what makes as much bang as a 17-pounder? Oh, we'll get a couple of 25-pounders. That'll be all right.
Well, imagine that thing as a close support vehicle, which is what they really lacked in the Pacific, to be honest.
Absolutely.
That is crazy. I don't know why they didn't just make at least one and just test it out. Anyway. Well, they did make one, but at least, use it.
Because we built an awful lot of AC-1 Sentinels that didn't actually go anywhere or do very much. I never understood how many we did, and then I did some research once, and I got a bunch of footage from the Australian War Memorial of like dozens of these things tooling around on a field. It's like, we spent a lot of time on this.
Well, and then we made the Uramba too, which is a self-propelled.
Yeah.
It's basically a priest, but made in Australia. And if you didn't know the difference, you'd actually look at it and think it was a priest.
You would.
It's built off a Grant chassis with a 25-pounder slapped in it, but it's very, very cool. So this is the one of the vehicles that are there. I think in the background you can see some Japanese.
Sorry, background.
You can see some. There's a Japanese artillery piece there. There's a Type.
Yep.
Is that a Type? I can't remember that little Japanese tank below the stream yard. That rusty one. That one is going to get properly restored.
That's the Hargo.
Yeah,
I
the
think
Hargo or the
Hargo.
Something. Yeah, I can't remember what.
Type 95, I think it is. It's a little baby tank. It's because it's still got because they were cleaning it out because of the asbestos lining on the inside of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was
Because
the...
I think Bovington has one that they've got, but it's all sealed up
Yeah.
because of the asbestos.
Well, maybe I could go clean it because I was born in an asbestos mining town, so it can't fucking
you
hurt
must
me
be
much
immune.
anymore.
You must be immune.
I
It was
must
a
be immune.
type 95 hard go.
Yep.
Thank you, Swampy Gaming, for putting that
Ah,
down in the chat. All right, so what do we got next? This is one of the ones that they found on a farm somewhere, isn't it? One of the Grant tanks.
That's the ones from New South Wales that they found, or Victoria.
Right,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. This is this is not.
That's the one that they've most recently done.
This is the
it's got all of
complete
the netting and
restoration.
everything on it.
Yeah, but I don't think that was one of the ones that they. Oh, it could have been.
Yes, it is.
That's
you
the
have
one
a look
that
at
they've done
that
the
front
video.
glacis plate. So
Yeah.
that's the Australian
that's right,
add-on
yeah.
armour that we did as post-war,
And the
and the anti-grenade mesh.
the grenade mesh
on the
up
top.
top.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that one works. It's a runner.
So if anybody hasn't seen that particular series, they made like a 4 or 5 video series of them turning up with trucks and just hauling these things out. Like these had been there so long, there were trees, like quite sizable trees growing up through the engine compartment. And they're busy lopping down trees and then hauling these things out of, where they've been sitting for 50 or 60
And
years.
it was like a kid in a candy store because he was going, I've been looking for one of these, and it's like it's just sitting in the shed.
And they've got like 3 of them.
Yeah, there's piles of different tracks and
there's a dingo, an Australian dingo, which is different to the British dingo armored car. Yeah, all sorts of weird, rare stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even they were finding things like the residuals of the markings and were able to look at it and going, we didn't understand that they marked them up that way.
Yeah, well, even the add-on bits and the clips and the armor track things,
Oh, Trekhan's asking if emus throw grenades. Dude, emus are grenades.
Yeah.
Those things will have your leg off. They're dangerous, those things.
They're cranky.
They are cranky.
Very cranky.
Particularly, we've got them near here where like you can go and feed the kangaroos and the emus, but like if you give stuff to the kangaroos, the emus will come and duff you up. They're like the mafia of the Australian animal kingdom. So let's see if anybody can guess what that is. Has anybody in the comments got some idea of what that might be? My initial thought before I figured it out was I thought it might be a prototype Leopard 1, but the turret shape was all wrong.
Kamikaze bush chicken.
Kamikaze bush chickens. Yeah, pretty much. Those things are bad. So who's that? James M says Panzer 61 or 68. Looks like a Panzer 68 to me. Ben's saying, is it the Swiss dumpster fire? That would be dumpster fire.
Yeah.
So it's a Swiss Panzer 68, isn't it, Adam?
Yeah. And I think that one had recently come when I got there. I remember seeing a video, something that had rocked up, and so it's a runner. And I think what they've said now is that they've got a few things out the back that they've got parts for that they're working on, which are going to be restorations. But anything else that they add to the collection, unless it's something really rare or crazy, is basically going to have to be a runner, or they're or unless they're getting it specifically for a static. I think they told me that they were offered a third of a Ferdinand, which I don't think there's any left. Well, no, Russia's probably got one. I think Russia's got one of them. Oh no, America's got one. America's got an elephant or a Ferdinand, and I think Russia's got one in Kubinka. But they're offered a third of a Ferdinand from someone in Russia, and the problem was, one, it's in Russia, so now trying to get it out of Russia would be no deal. But also, I think there's a lot of times when they're offered something and it may not actually exist.
So you don't think that might have now gone into a workshop somewhere in Russia and been restored for possible use at some point somewhere?
No, I think they've got more than enough IS-3s lying around that they could probably put together before they did that. But
they have to chip all the concrete off all the IS-4s they had on the Chinese border.
Yeah.
Oh dear. All right, so that's a Panzer 68. I don't think anybody has to guess what that might be.
God, that is so. And I don't think if anyone's ever actually stood next to one of these, they don't realize how big these tanks are. I mean, you go, yeah, they're this big. No, they're just so massive, and you can just think of imagine the Allies in a Sherman seeing one of these things with the size of the gun on it, and just like, yeah, hoping
And
that
I mean,
it doesn't hit them.
Sherman's not short. I mean, based around the rotary engine, that is pretty tall. But yeah,
they're about the same height, but just not as broad and as massive. And the gun, the size of the gun on that thing is just And there's my favorite tank actually. There is the fully restored Panther that's just behind it. Sauerkraut.
It's a heavily armored sauerkraut mover. Yeah, I tell you what, if I saw one of those, my sauerkraut would involuntarily move. I can tell you that.
Yeah, that Panther is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, that wasn't there when I visited. Is that a very early one from the very big bulgy matlet piece there?
Oh, you
sorry,
mean on the
I'm pointing on the Yag Panther. I'm pointing with my mouse, which is not helping anybody to see what I'm trying to indicate. Yeah, I think because they started off with a big beefy one, and then later on they went to a more slimline.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah,
I think you're right.
Oh, it's all those things you vaguely remember, but you haven't got time to go and look them up.
Oh, and just the Hetzer. This is, I don't know, such a cool little tank.
Did it do any hetzing while you were there?
It did hetz.
Yeah?
It did hetz. Yeah. No, I saw they were testing some things out. That was hetzing that morning. Yeah. And then they're also, I don't know what a T-3485 does, but it was T-3485ing all over the place.
Right.
They were having some troubles with the engine, actually. I think the problem, which is probably not uncommon to Soviet tankers. So, yeah.
Sorry, I was just looking at this idea of the Brits' reaction. I was just thinking some poor infantryman picking up his Piat going, yes, I'll have a bash. Somebody help me cock the spring. Oh, man.
Hetzer question is
that a Swiss one? So you're asking, is it a P-13 or what have you? I think it was converted from a P-13.
Where's my picture?
Because that was one of the first vehicles that they ended up getting at the museum. Was that they purchased it from the crew that were like the tank hunters or something they were called, over in the UK. That's one of the first vehicles that the museum received. That I think there was a Kettenkrad that was also put in there as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is a Kettenkrad there. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I did see that. Ben wants everybody to rush B. All right. What else are we looking at? Is that an original? Yeah.
Where was it?
Don't know. Can't tell.
No, this one was the Hetzer was made in 45 in the defense of Prague.
Okay.
And it was later modified and used by the Swiss Army, but it was actually originally built in Prague.
Okay. All right. So this is a Chaffee.
Yeah. I mean,
has anybody got anything exciting to say about that?
I really like the Stuart, but this thing.
Yeah, a little rocket of a vehicle.
I just think it's such a cool tank, and the American tankers going from the Stuart, which was basically by the time of 44, 45, a walking death trap, getting into one of these things, which actually had some armor and a decent gun, and great speed. I think they really loved it, and it actually usually had a shitload of machine guns on it too. They usually had a 50 cal and a 30 cal on top, plus a coaxial, and the whole mounted one as well. So
because they served in Vietnam as well, didn't they? The Chaffies.
They did.
Yeah.
I think with the Arvin forces had quite a few, but I've got a book of the 11th Armoured Division, and one of the guys from the Hussars was talking about getting these to replace their Stuarts, and they were saying it was just chalk and cheese. They could tool around in these things, and I think his favourite story was they could get into trouble a lot faster. So he actually sailed through an intersection on a wet road one day, and they couldn't stop. So the tracks are all locked up, but this thing's still like sliding along the highway. And they slid through the intersection past the very startled 8.8 centimetre gun crew who had set up an ambush, but just like sailed past like, sorry guys, can't stop, and disappeared out the other side of the intersection before they got control of their vehicle back. So yes, they quite liked the Chaffee.
Yeah. There's another one. I don't think you can see it there. The other thing which I thought was really cool, and I just didn't think we had enough. I had too many pictures already. Was the staghound, and I just didn't believe how big the staghound was.
Yeah, they're
It's
massive.
gigantic.
Yeah, it's almost the size of a Sherman, almost.
There's a teeny tiny museum in a little wheat country town in Western Australia here that actually has one. Like, the rest of it is crappy uniforms and a bunch of medals, and then you go out the back and there's like most of a staghound. It's like, great, where did that come from?
Yeah.
I just bumped into it one day when we were traveling. One of those crazy museum things that you find.
Yeah, I'd always thought it'd be cool to get an armoured car, but I guess that's how people start collecting tanks.
It is.
Kind of start off with a ferret or something, or a universal carrier, and
it was ferret scout cars. Yeah. You could get them for 20 grand when I was a youngster.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're very popular.
I didn't have 20 grand back then.
Yeah, there's a guy up closer to where I am here. Obviously, being Remembrance Day tomorrow, it would have been good to be back home. He actually has a Stuart and a ferret that he brings out for the kids to come out and have a look at on Anzac Day and Remembrance Day.
Oh, nice.
Which is yeah.
Did I tell you about the guy that used to have a Centurion in Wellington, in New South Wales?
That wouldn't surprise me. It's just up the road from where I am.
He brought it back from. So he's in Korea. He fought there he fought in Korea with the Australians, and I think they were at the end of Korea War. They were trying to get rid of the tanks, and it was going to cost him more to bring them back or something. So he bought one, got it. Must have known someone in a ship, got it shipped back, and so I did a geology course at university, and part of that we were to go out on some guy's farm and look at these tuft rock formations, and they said, oh yeah, we'll go to this farmer and have a look at these tank. And we're like, oh yeah, cool. Go in there. It's a fully working Centurion tank. He's got a cliff on the side of his property with these massive pock marks out of it. It's got live ammo, he's got live grenades, he's got machine gun. You can pop inside it, and he's like, yeah, watch out for that thing, don't open that up, there's live grenades in there. We're like, oh, okay. And so all the cops knew about it, and the thing was that every year at the Anzac Day parade, he'd drive his tank around and
and throw live grenades into the audience.
Give
them some idea of what it was really like.
Yeah. So it's funny, like all sorts of things that you wouldn't think would be lying around a country town, but it's weird. Farmers collect all sorts of things, and 50-ton tanks.
Because I've seen cut down Valentines. There was a Valentine that they'd turned into a bush dragger. So they cut the entire top off it. So somewhere halfway up the hull, it's just like gas axed off.
Yeah.
And then they just put massive chains out the back attached to big blocks of wood. And they would just drive it up and down and get rid of, like, it would just rip up everything. That was how you cleared stuff.
There was a guy that had recently, like, he's something similar where they had a Matilda. I think it basically was a dozer, and I think they'd had a Grant as well that they kind of cut the top off like a tank convertible, basically. And yeah, him, I think he's actually trying to restore it into a proper vehicle, but yeah, Australia didn't have any, right? Which ones?
Don't know. I think Ben might be talking about Valentines. So yeah, I don't know where this Valentine came from.
Wasn't like the ones that because we had a heap of Grants that we never actually really fielded. They just sort of drove around the bush until they realised that, we don't really need them, and then they turned them into...
Yeah, because they decided not to take them they decided to take the Matildas.
Yeah,
And the
which is why
Stewarts,
there's
I
so
think.
many grants in farmers' paddocks or whatever. You
Yeah.
know, bulldozers. Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I have to have a look. Because maybe they got some Valentines but never actually used them. I know the Kiwis got Valentines and the close support, the CS version, which they used. They
Right.
did use them in the Pacific. So
Right.
maybe they got brought back. And instead of going to New Zealand, some farmer bought it for.
They just dumped them here, like they do with everything else.
Yeah.
Forewarned is saying training units. The other things are, though, when I was at Puckapunyal, we got a couple of Shermans for trials before we decided not to buy them. And there's one at Puckapunyal that they were doing up because one of the things they did during the trial was just machine gun the shit out of it. So there's this Sherman just with these hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pockmarks in the armour where they just machine gunned it for days to see what would happen as part of the testing regime. So, yeah, if anybody's in Australia and gets a chance to go and do a tour of Puckapunyal, you should go and do that. That was kind of
they were
fun.
sent. Apparently, they were sent after the war. All the
okay.
ones in Australia. Yeah.
Same as we've got some really nice static displays up my way of the Leopard 1s. We've actually got them in some of the towns in Queensland.
Oh, man, there are so many Leopard ones scattered around the
Yeah.
place at the moment.
It's so nice. It's so nice driving out to my parents, and you can just go past through the town, and it's just there in the park area. You go out and take photos of it, and good for reference. At least you can get some good color matches and stuff with the leopards.
So it used to be that every little town had a 25-pounder because there's one in Darwin on the top of a tackle shop. So there's a tackle shop in Darwin with a 25-pounder on the roof.
It's same as the old Bofors. There's heaps of Bofors out this way.
I have refurbished those. My Naval Reserve unit, we had one as a gate guardian, and we actually stripped it, and because it had been painted grey because it was a Navy one, but we stripped all the paint off and polished the brass and got all the... So in that stage in the 1970s, there were handy can size cans of drink, which were exactly 40 mil wide, apparently, because people shoved them down the fucking barrel. And we got so many of those handy cans out of the barrel of those damn things.
Wow.
But the 25-pounders, it makes me laugh because when we drive up to Perth, we go through a little town that's got one. And every time I drive past, the barrel is ever so slightly inching backwards towards the fully recoiled position as the oil leaks out of the hydraulics in it, out of the recoil buffers. It's just gently getting sadder and sadder. It needs like some 25-pounder Viagra to sort it out.
Sad 25-pounder noises.
Yeah.
Yeah, that boxer. So the boxer was going to be in the new Australian Army. They got the red back, the Korean version instead. But yeah, it's a very tall vehicle, and I think people are kind of complaining, well, it's a recon vehicle. Why is it so big? And it's like, well, I don't think it matters these days.
Yeah. But that would be kind of fun. Oh, I saw that one. Yeah, the Panther that the guy just had in his
Well,
garage.
Apparently the whole town knew about it, and when it was winter, he'd drive around, and then when it was, I think there was a period that they flooded, and then he was just burning around town in his Panther, and then he must have pissed someone off at the council because someone reported him because people knew about it for ages, and then they pulled. I think there was an 88 in his basement as well.
Yep. So I went to a museum in Arnhem, and it's in a tin shed. And you go in, and they were very apologetic because a lot of the signs weren't in English and they didn't speak very great English. But you can see what this guy had done was like he'd lived there his entire life. And he just went like dug shit up. So there's uniforms with bloodstains on them and MG42s with bent barrels that still have the mud from where he went and dug them out of somewhere. And I'm sure the museum was just, it wasn't sorted into anything. It was just piles of crap. And I'm sure at some point his wife just said, this has to go or I go. Like you have to go and build a shed to just go and put all this stuff in there. And it was fascinating. They had Hitler's sofa. So, I mean, my wife was bored with most of it. But when we found like Hitler's furnishings, it's like, you don't see that every day.
No. How'd they get that out of the eagle's nest?
Oh, pardon me. Sorry, gang. Yeah, well,
Unfortunately,
Hitler probably had a number of sofas, and that was one of them. Or perhaps, he sat on that one once somewhere, I don't know. But, yeah, that
Or-
was...
well, it's just, I'm just thinking this horrible floral sofa with like a swastika.
Yeah. Oh, we're definitely demonetized now. Anyway, so this has been a show talking about not very much. We have been a bit remiss in doing our table ready, so missing our third musketeer with Kristian has kind of... Yeah, we've missed a bit, so we did think we should probably get on and do this one.
Yeah,
And
look,
we wanted to talk to Terrance, so,
we did.
we had a good excuse.
Of course you did. Yeah, it's good to at least let everyone else know, because obviously I try and advertise as much as I can on social media, but not everyone's on there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, they're more than welcome to send me an email off the website if they want something. Like, I'm more than happy for them to do that. Call the phone number that's on there. It's all there for you to get in contact.
Yeah.
Try and help where I can.
No, I definitely want some sampans for NAM, so I'll contact you about that when the NAM stuff comes in.
Yeah, definitely. Let me know.
All right. So is there anything else we want to cover before we go? Adam, you're nicking off, but you are going to do a Christmas sale?
Yeah, so there'll be a Christmas sale. I'll put it up on the social medias. It's suspended from phones.
No, we did not ban Kristian for being a scale traitor.
Yeah, he's actually doing some really nice stuff.
He is doing some really nice stuff.
Yeah.
He was telling me, though, that weirdly his Team Yankee painting stuff gets the least views of all the stuff he does. So all the 20 and 28 mil painting stuff that he does.
I think a lot of his 20 and 28 mil stuff is World War II.
Yeah.
And I think it's very much a World War II kind of thing.
And figure painting with the particular patterns that he's looking at.
So I think that, which is great. But yeah, you've just got to.
But no, Alad, we're not holding that against him. We will let him back onto the channel as soon as he lets us know he's available.
And paint something in 15 mil.
And paint something in 15 mil.
Yeah, but I guess I thought it was interesting where you said, what is going to be in the Christmas message. I guess other things I'd like to see would be probably fleshing out the Italian late war theatre a bit more.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
And then Pacific.
What you're not pushing for a, what was it, a P640 or whatever it was, or P26?
P26.
The heavy tank.
Well, they've got it already.
The P40. It's the P40.
P40.
Oh, okay.
Well, it's the P40-26. The Italians do some.
Oh, is that part of the Mid-War Monsters range?
Yeah.
Oh, I must have missed that one.
Yeah, so they do have it. But
so what sort of things would you be looking for then to add to the late war range for that theatre?
Some probably more specific stuff like the Hermann Göring division. You'd see things like the Italian forces when they surrendered, they actually then made joined the Allies, and they had specific formations. So you'd have like Bersaglieri, but Allied. You'd have the
it's a German guys used Italian vehicles in that campaign as well.
Yeah, so a lot of Butterpanzer, they had some Stugs, but they weren't Stugs, they were the Semivettas. So you had the Semivette 105-25s, the 75-34s, that sort of thing.
So does it make me a terrible geek that I really, really want a plastic M4A2 for my Brits? Because I think there's no original straight M4 Sherman. And I think the M4A2 is the 76 for the Russians. I'm not sure you can do a 75 for the M4A2, but I'm willing to be wrong.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, is that the diesel one?
Oh, I'd have to go back and look now.
Or is it petrol?
Yes, it is. The M4A2 is diesel. Because the other user of it was the Marines. So maybe they'll do that when they do the Pacific.
Pacific.
Yeah, Pacific.
Yeah,
Or-
definitely want some more LVTs again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you had those the Churchill NA75s, where they basically the 6-pounder that they had at the time with the Churchill had a crap HE round, so they needed something to take out the dug-in German position. So they basically strapped a Sherman 75mm.
Yes.
Onto the turret.
Gas axed the matlets out of knocked out. M4s.
Yeah. So. Yeah, that'd be cool. I don't know what else you'd kind of really do. Oh no, you'd have the what do you call the British American Commando Force? The before they made the special force, there was like the first sort of special forces. They had the red dagger as the logo. I can't remember the name of them.
The Special Service Brigade.
Yes, the Special Service Brigade.
Special Services Brigade. Yep.
Yeah. So that'd be cool.
So let's all have one prediction then for the Christmas message. So I'm going to go for the post-war stuff and Checkpoint Charlie. So World War II is going to overrun by a year or two into some paper panzers. And that's going to blur into very early Team Yankee for Checkpoint Charlie. That's my prediction for 2024, and I'll stick with that. Terrance, what do you think?
I would love for the Pacific to come back. It's one area of Flames that I would love to have models for. Like I've got some, but that would be probably my love for Flames. I would love for another proper big push for Yankee. I don't know what I'd want with that though. That's the thing. I think they need to work out what they'd like to do. But anything really big for Yankee, but definitely mid-war or any sort of like Pacific theater. I just want to have boats invading. I want Amtracs invading Japanese people.
Yeah.
Isn't there an anime for that?
Yeah, probably. I'd really like. I've been reading up some stuff in the Pacific at the moment, but some Australian Pacific troops for the Battlefront. I mean, I know they've got their Aussies for the desert, and I know Eureka does an Australian Pacific with an Owen gun and that sort of stuff. But Christmas wish, metal Australian Pacific troops. And also the the Australia did the special commandos for the Pacific.
I think it's
Force Z.
Oh yeah, but they hadn't. But they basically had commandos.
The six commandos or something. Was
the guys who came back from the cavalry, the armored cavalry regiments from the desert, all got converted to commando brigades.
Yeah, but
so these guys drove tanks in North Africa and then came back and became.
Was this the special forces guys that they snuck into Singapore and were blowing up?
Force
boats and stuff.
That was Force Z, but in Australia they called them independent companies. Yeah. So these were Australian independent companies, which were basically commandos, but that's what they called them. And they were basically before the Australian desert veterans came back and were kicking ass. These were the specially trained guys for the Pacific Theatre. So that'd be pretty cool to see some specific figures for that. I don't know whether or not they'll do it.
Did Battlefront ever make specific models for the Sikhs? Any of the Indian forces?
Yes, there wasn't. You can get an Indian platoon. I've got some.
Just like that area, obviously going towards Singapore would be really good.
Didn't Kristian paint some of those for his last tournament force with us?
Yeah,
he managed to find some.
So he had some of his heavy machine guns. I think I sold them to him. So I've got a whole Indian company in a box somewhere for me to paint one of these days. But
So Alad's thing is his vote is for Angola as a long shot for 2024,
Oh, like Bush Wars.
Bush Wars, yeah.
That'd
I
be
know
cool.
Pete's,
I'd really like
Pete's
that.
really keen for that.
Yeah.
Emus in
Emus.
hard plastic. So yeah, then we could have Australia versus the emus.
I think that's ultra late war, actually. To be honest, Tricker.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
East Timorese Sparrow Force from Forewarned.
Oh.
Or Trekkin saying
That'd
some
be
Brandon
cool.
burgers.
Actually, that'd be really cool. I'd like to see some. I mean, I know they probably won't make it, but German Brandenburgers from the desert would be pretty cool. It'd be like when they did the SAS troops, the Sting of the Scorpion or whatever the early war SAS. Yeah.
Yep.
German equivalents would be interesting. Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, I think we might leave it there because we could bollocks on about this for some hours, and in fact have done so already.
Yep.
This 1 hour podcast is never 1 hour long, or live stream. So yeah, that's showing my age talking about podcasts. Anyway, thank you for everyone who joined us. It's been great. We haven't been doing this often enough. And Adam, you're buggerizing off to.
Well, we
parts
can
foreign.
try.
We can try and do that.
What about the first? That's probably really the actual only.
Well,
first
let's us work that out some other time rather than actually live on,
Now,
on
let's make a
stage
promise
here.
now.
And okay, we'll do it more often. And we'll also try and get Kristian back because, once his kid goes to school,
Yeah.
he's got no good excuse.
I think he said he's getting a job next week.
Yeah, he's probably off to TAFE or something.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you very much to Terrance for coming on, and thank you for the work you're doing. We have had Australian supply problems for a while, and I'm hoping that this is a bit of a ray of sunshine into that. Adam, it's always fun talking to you, and we need to get on and do some stuff about, you've got these decals, we need to make some videos about those so that people can see them. All right. And thank you very much. Kristian, wherever you are, we still love you, and you are welcome back, even if you are a terrible scale traitor and we hate you. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us, and bye-bye from us. We'll see you next time.